Kick things off with our girl Millie Calloway, who is basically hitting bottom rock but trying to keep it classy as she rolls up to the massive jaw-dropping Winchester estate. Millie is desperate for a win because her bank account is looking pretty sad and she's been hunting for a job like it's her Olympic sport. Enter Nina Winchester, the lady of the house, who's looking for a housemaid to keep her sprawling mansion from turning into a total disaster zone. Nina welcomes her in, and honestly, the vibe is a little weird right from the jump, but Millie is focused on the prize. Nina starts laying out the duties, treating this whole thing like a high-stakes interview for a Fortune 500 company, even though it's mostly just cleaning and cooking. Here's the kicker. Millie totally fluffed her resume and claimed she has a college degree, which leads Nina to tell her she's actually overqualified for the gig. But Millie plays it cool, swearing up and down that she actually enjoys the zen of being a housemaid. As Nina gives her the grand tour, she's acting like everything is perfectly in order, but the house has some seriously Stepford Wives energy. Millie spots this super creepy set of toys, a little family of dolls sitting at a dining table like a tiny plastic version of the Winchesters. Then they head up to the attic to see the maid's quarters. Let me tell you, this room is a total buzzkill. It's tiny, cramped, and Millie's face says it all. She is not vibing with the attic life. Nina plays the "I'll let you know" card, tosses Millie a $20 bill for her time and gas, and sends her on her way. Millie leaves feeling like she totally tanked the interview. With no place to go, she ends up sleeping in her car, which is basically her home sweet home at this point. The next morning, she gets a literal wake-up call from the cops rapping on her window. She spins them a yarn about how she's just pulling over for a second while heading to her mom's place, and right on cue, her mom rings. She tells the officers it's her mom, and they let her off with a "don't text and drive" warning. But surprise, it wasn't mom. It was Andrew Winchester, Nina's husband, calling to offer her the job. Talk about a literal lifesaver, right? Millie pulls back up to the Winchester place, ready to start her new life, but things are already getting sketchy. The gate is locked tight, and she has to deal with Enzo, the groundskeeper, who looks like he's seen some things. He's working at the gate, and Millie has to tell him to let her in. When she finally steps inside, the house is a total 180 from the first time she saw it. Instead of being pristine, it's a complete wreck, messy, cluttered, chaotic. Nina welcomes her back, but looks totally frazzled, mentioning she's stressed about writing a speech for the PTA. Suddenly, the perfect husband, Andrew, and their daughter, Cece, arrive. Nina introduces Millie, and Andrew seems like a total sweetheart, giving her a warm welcome that almost makes you forget how creepy the attic room is. But once Millie gets up to her new bedroom, the red flags start flying. The window in the attic, permanently stuck shut. The door, it only locks from the outside. That is a massive nope in my book. Nina comes up later with dinner and hands Millie a shiny new smartphone complete with a credit card uploaded for house expenses. Millie tries to bring up the whole "I'm trapped in here" situation with the door and the window, and Nina just brushes it off, promising she'll get it fixed soon. Spoiler alert, soon usually means never in these movies. The next morning, Millie oversleeps, probably because she was exhausted from sleeping in a car for who knows how long. She scrambles out of bed, throws on her pants, and tries to leave, but you guessed it, the door is locked. She's stuck until it magically opens from the other side. When she finally makes it downstairs, she walks into a total hurricane. Nina is screaming at the top of her lungs and literally smashing things. She starts accusing Millie of throwing out her precious PTA notes. Andrew comes in to play the hero, hugging Nina and trying to calm her down while she's basically having a meltdown. He's being all gentle husband, but Nina just turns to Millie and snaps, "You ruined my day." Way to make a girl feel welcome on day one, Nina. After the storm settles, Millie starts cleaning up the debris from Nina's tantrum. Andrew, being the nice guy he is, tells her not to let it get to her. He heads out and Millie goes to take the trash to the bins. That's when she runs into Enzo again. He asks her what she's doing there, and when she says she works there, he looks like he's about to spill some major tea. But then he spots Nina watching them from the window like a hawk and shuts down faster than a laptop with no battery. When Millie looks up, Nina has already vanished. Creepy, right? Things get even weirder when Millie is cleaning the bathroom and finds a random pill in the toilet. She tries to snoop in the medicine cabinet, but Nina appears out of nowhere like a jump scare in a horror movie. Nina is clearly trying to intimidate her, but Millie keeps her head down. Later, Millie is cooking when Andrew comes into the kitchen to chat. He's being super friendly, maybe too friendly. Even Cece is being a bit of a diva, demanding a cleaner glass for her juice. That night, Millie is scrolling through Andrew's social media and she ends up having this wild dream where he knocks on her door with a cake and starts kissing her. She wakes up in a cold sweat, realizing it was just her subconscious acting out. But reality is harsher. While she's prepping a meal, Nina creeps up behind her again, telling her she needs to be safe in the house and finally handing over a key to her room. But then Nina says something super catty about the food just to ruin the vibe. When Saturday rolls around, Millie's supposed day off, she's getting ready to head out, but Nina pulls the "I can't spare you" card. She blames Millie for her missing the hair salon earlier in the week and tries to force her to stay. Millie stands her ground, saying she has an important meeting, and luckily Andrew steps in and tells Nina to let the girl go. He takes Cece out, and Millie finally gets some freedom. Millie isn't headed to a brunch or a movie. She's headed to the Probation and Parole Services Department. Yeah, our girl has a record. She meets with her officer who grills her about why she left her last job. Millie explains she got a better gig with the Winchesters and gives over her new address, but the officer isn't playing around. She warns Millie that if she messes up even once, she's going back to finish the remaining 5 years of her sentence. No pressure, right? While she's there, Nina calls her, demanding she pick up Cece from ballet class. Nina hangs up before even giving her the address, so Millie has to go full detective on Google Maps. She sprints to the studio, terrified of being late, and meets a woman named Patrice. But when she finds Cece, the kid tells her she's going to spend the day at a friend's house. Millie's totally confused, and Patrice has to call Nina to confirm that the plan's changed. It's like Nina is intentionally trying to mess with her head. When Millie gets back to the house, Evelyn Winchester, Andrew's mom, is there. She's brought over these super expensive antique Chinese dishes. Evelyn is a lot. She takes one look at Millie's outfit and makes a face like she just smelled sour milk. She tells Millie to hide the dishes somewhere safe so Nina doesn't smash them during one of her episodes. Andrew arrives and greets his mom, but you can feel the tension in the air. Late that night, Millie can't sleep, so she heads downstairs for a snack and some TV. Andrew joins her, and they start talking about Nina's past. He drops a bombshell. Nina's parents died in a house fire when she was a kid, and nobody knows how it started. Suddenly, Nina appears in the doorway like a ghost, asking what they're doing together at 2 a.m. Andrew plays it off and heads to bed, but Nina is steaming. She tells Millie it's not working out and that she needs to pack her bags. Millie begs for a second chance, and Nina gives her 1 week on the condition that she dresses appropriately and stays away from Andrew. A few days later, Millie is serving tea to Nina and her fancy friends. Nina announces they're looking for a nanny, which makes the friends think she's pregnant. Nina plays along, saying she's seeing a top-tier pediatrician, but as soon as Nina leaves the room to take a call, the tea really starts to spill. The friends start gossiping about how Nina actually spent 9 months in a mental hospital. Things stay weird. Nina tells Millie she has to work on Saturday again because she and Andrew have a big city appointment. While they're out, Millie snoops in the medicine cabinet and finds haloperidol, heavy-duty stuff for mental disorders. She calls her friend Lexi, begging for help finding another job because she knows this situation is a ticking bomb time. Cece overhears her and gets upset, asking if she's leaving. Millie tries to bond with the kid, but when she asks about a troll doll in a restricted room, Cece warns her never to go in there. That night, Millie is woken up by the sound of a massive fight between Nina and Andrew. She runs downstairs and finds Nina holding a bloody knife. Nina is laughing like a maniac, asking if Millie heard the PTA woman say she's crazy. Eventually, Andrew takes the knife and shuts the door, leaving Millie terrified. The next day, Nina is suddenly sweet again. She apologizes for the baby drama and gives Millie some of her old designer clothes. She even asks Millie to book a fancy hotel and musical tickets for her and Andrew. But when Millie is at the ballet studio again, a woman named Suzanne tells her a horrifying story. Apparently, Nina once tried to drown Cece in a bathtub, and Andrew had to call the cops to save the child. When Millie gets home, she asks Enzo what's really going on with the family. Enzo just tells her, "You shouldn't be here," before Nina interrupts and sends him away. Then the drama hits a new peak. Nina accuses Millie of booking the hotel and musical tickets on the wrong day, saying she was supposed to be at an art camp with Cece. She tells Millie the cost will be docked from her pay, which is basically her whole check. Andrew, once again playing the white knight, tells Millie not to worry about the money. Since Nina and Cece head out for the camp, Andrew accidentally has these extra tickets. He asks Millie to go with him, and since she's wearing the nice clothes Nina gave her, they look like a real couple. They go to a movie, have a fancy dinner, and Andrew starts opening up. He says he runs a data company he inherited and really wants kids, but Nina has changed. They dance, they flirt, and eventually they get 2 rooms at a hotel. But Nina starts blowing up Millie's phone with messages. Millie is panicking, so she goes to Andrew's room. One thing leads to another, and they end up spending the night together. When they return home, the honeymoon phase ends immediately. Nina is back and she knows everything. She asks Millie if she learned to cook in prison, revealing she knows about Millie's 10-year sentence. Then Nina pulls a total power move. She sends Millie out to buy things using her car. While shopping, Millie meets a woman named Jillian who drops another truth bomb. Most nannies in that house aren't allowed to have phones or tracking. When Millie tries to leave, she gets arrested. Apparently, the car was reported stolen. Andrew has to come bail her out, and when they get back, he loses it on Nina. He tells her she's ruined enough lives and demands she leave. Andrew tells Millie she's staying, and for a second it seems like Millie has won. They live together like a couple, but Millie is still on edge. One morning she sees Enzo staring through the window and drops the expensive Chinese dishes, shattering them into 21 pieces. Andrew fires Enzo on the spot, but he tells Millie not to worry. He knows a guy who can fix the plates. But then the floor drops out from under her. Millie wakes up to find all her stuff gone. The door is locked from the outside. She's trapped in the attic. Andrew is on the other side, and he's not the nice guy anymore. Then we get the real story of Nina. We see her life in a flashback, how she was an orphan, a law student who got pregnant by a professor, and how she met Andrew. At first, he seemed like a dream, but he turned into a monster. He used the attic to torture her, making her pluck 100 hairs from her head just as a punishment for minor things. He drugged her, framed her for trying to drown Cece, and used his wealth to convince the world she was crazy. He spent years gaslighting her and keeping her prisoner. Nina realized she couldn't escape on her own, so she went looking for someone stronger, someone who could handle Andrew. She found Millie. She wanted Millie to fall for Andrew's charms so she could lure him into his own trap. Back in the present, Andrew tells Millie she has to carve 21 lines on her stomach to atone for the broken plates. But Millie isn't Nina. We learn Millie went to jail because she killed a guy who was trying to force himself on her roommate. She's a fighter. When Andrew enters the attic room, Millie doesn't cower. She stabs him right in the neck with a small knife she found. She escapes the room and locks him inside. She realizes he has cameras everywhere, so she watches him on her phone. She sees him bleeding out, and then she goes back in for the final blow. She forces him to pull out his own teeth with pliers, a twisted poetic justice for the smile he used to trick women. Nina arrives back at the house thinking Millie is still trapped. She opens the door and a wounded, enraged Andrew lunges at Nina. Millie jumps in to save Nina, and in the chaos, Andrew falls and dies. The police arrive, but it turns out the lead officer had a sister who was also a victim of Andrew's charms years ago. She knows exactly what kind of monster he was, so she records the death as a strange household accident. At the funeral, Nina is a free woman. She gives Millie a check for $100,000, a little thank you for the help. The movie ends with Millie at a new job interview. The new boss is a wealthy woman with a suspicious bruise on her wrist. She tells Millie that Nina Winchester highly recommended her. Millie looks at the woman, looks at the abusive husband in the background, and simply asks, "When can I start?"